Okay. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kelly Crispin. I am the Home and Community-Based Services Manager at Accessible Resources for Independence. For those of you who aren't familiar with ARI, a little bit of information about our agency. We are a Center for Independent Living, which is a national organization. It's a community-based organization that provides a variety of services to people with disabilities of all ages across the lifespan. Our specific agency serves both Anne Arundel and Howard counties, but there are several other centers for independent living throughout the state of Maryland that serve other counties as well. But ours specifically serves Anne Arundel and Howard. We believe that people with disabilities have the right to make their own decisions and have control of their own lives. Some of the core services that we offer, and well, all the centers for independent living offer these core services, are advocacy, peer support, independent living skills, information and referral, peer mentoring, and transition services. One unique aspect of ARI and all centers for independent living in general is that 51% of staff that work at ARI have disabilities themselves. And that also goes for our board of directors. So we are able to provide a kind of unique and very useful experience on, we're able to relate to the people that we serve because a lot of us have gone through similar experiences. So it's an interesting and I think useful part of working at a Center for Independent Living. So without further ado, today we have Jane Sinclair on the call. She is an apprenticeship navigator from the Maryland Department of Labor, and she's just going to be going over today, or talking about rather, the Maryland Apprenticeship and Training Program and some of the resources on the website that may be useful to you guys. So Jane, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you all for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's a rainy day where I am, and I've got my spring here. So I'm ready.
Love it.
And I'm gonna confess up front, I am the apprenticeship navigator for most of the mid-Maryland area, including Howard County, Anne Arundel County, and South. I work all over the state. But I am very challenged when it comes to using virtual technology. And I've done this with Kelly before, and I did an abysmal job. So I'm going to try really hard to do it correctly this time. And I'm just going to take you through a brief PowerPoint because I think it's the best way to touch on all of the aspects of apprenticeship. And then I have a couple of job leads that I'd like to share with you so you can get an idea of what's out there. And these are current job leads that if you're interested in, you can go up and apply for. So having said that, I'm going to leap right into the point here, and hopefully this will go smoothly. So can everybody see my PowerPoint now?
I can see it.
Yes.
There we go. Oops. Okay, should be on the first page. All right, I'm so excited. I'm so proud of myself.
You're doing great.
Okay, so as I said, and as Kelly introduced me, I work with the Registered Apprenticeship Program in Maryland. And for those of you that don't know about apprenticeships or haven't really heard about them, most people are familiar with apprenticeships when they think about electricians and plumbers and individuals in the skilled trades. And so it's a traditional way of learning while you're actually earning, learning while you're working on the job and going to school part-time. So this PowerPoint will just kind of illustrate for you and bring out some of the important parts. And then we'll talk about some of the actual occupations that are out there. So this is the, whoops, I think we skipped a page here. Here you go. So this is the official definition for apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is an earn and learn strategy combining on-the-job training with related or classroom instruction. So what it's basically doing is it's blending the practical aspect of learning a job with the theoretical aspect of the training. This is used in highly skilled occupations. As I mentioned earlier, it's very common in the skilled trades such as plumbing, electrical work, and HVAC. So apprenticeship programs are sponsored by a wide range of organizations, including individual employers. So this might be your, let's say, Millersville Auto, or it could be sponsored by an employer association, such as Independent Electrical Contractors or ABC of the Chesapeake, or it could be sponsored by a joint labor management organization. Some of the familiar ones in our area would be the Local 24, which is the electrical union in Baltimore, the Local 26, which is a similar union in the DC area. And other workforce intermediaries also have sponsorships. Now, some of the other intermediaries would be our local community colleges. So and I'll speak about this briefly later, but Howard Community College is one of our sponsors. They offer several occupations. We also work with other intermediaries or training organizations. So then another really common question about apprenticeship is, what occupations are actually apprenticeable? What is it that makes a job apprenticeable? So all of our apprenticeships have a couple of things in common. They all consist of at least 2,000 hours of full-time employment. They all have to take place at the work site under the direction of a highly skilled journey worker or with a mentor. They must consist of 144 hours of related instruction per year of the apprenticeship. So this means that for each full-time year that you're working, your employer is going to provide you with 144 hours of class time. Now that might be at a community college, it could be at a different training facility, it could be right at your work location. So there are three ways that you can create an apprenticeship. The most common way that apprenticeships are created are time-based programs. And some good examples, again, are in the skilled trades. So if you want to become an electrician, you would be hired as an apprentice and you would work as an apprentice for 4 years. Each of those 4 years, you'd be working full-time as a full-time employee with full benefits. And you'd also be going to class. And then in the evening, the class would take place. This is separate from work. And then at the end of the 4 years, you would be able to complete the apprenticeship. You would become a journey worker in the trade. Now, we also have competency-based programs that are used for some of our apprenticeships in the IT field, also some in the healthcare field. And generally, the way these are used is rather than using a time-based measurement where you are working in that occupation full-time for 4 years, what they do is they provide you with the training in the classroom hours, but they also allow you to complete your requirements on the job with your journey worker. So it might take you 1 year to complete it. It might take you 2 years based upon how quickly you pick up the skills. And the hybrid approach we rarely use in Maryland because we have enough flexibility in applying the first two approaches that we don't need the hybrid approach. So there are a couple of things that are unique and essential to each apprenticeship. Number one is the business involvement. And what this translates to is you need to have an employer, that it's not an apprenticeship unless it's a job, and it's a job from day one. The second thing that all apprenticeships need to have is structured on-the-job training. And I've just called on-the-job training a couple of things. I've referred to it as work processes and also competencies. And those are just different words that describe what you're learning from your mentor or your journey worker on the job site. All apprenticeships also have a component of related instruction. And this is This is where you go to class, whether it's a virtual class that you take, whether it's an online class, whether it's a hybrid where you go to the community college and then you have some additional online things to accomplish. It varies depending upon the different trade you're going into and what your sponsor feels is appropriate for your occupation. All apprenticeships also give rewards for skilled gains and for skills gains. And what that means is apprentices are hired at an entry-level wage, but as they progress through the apprenticeship, as they gain skills, let's say they complete their first year of related instruction, they pass all of their classes, they're doing great at work, they've got great attendance, their journey worker or their mentor says, this person is picking up all the competencies just like they should be, then your wages will increase until you reach that journey worker level. And then you have the guaranteed journey worker rate that you've gotten by completing your apprenticeship. In addition to the progressive wage scale, the skills gained, you also have at the end of your apprenticeship, what's called a nationally recognized occupational credential. We issue an apprenticeship certificate from the state of Maryland, and this is recognized in other states in the United States. So we call it both portable and stackable, meaning that if you complete the apprenticeship for an electrician in the state of Maryland, you can take that credential and you'd be able to work in Pennsylvania as an electrician. You may have to take a different licensing test that pertains to the local regulations regarding the electrical workers, but your general work skills and your occupational credential you carry with you. In addition to being portable, it's also considered stackable because if you start out as an apprentice electrician, you move up to a journey worker, and then you're mentoring apprentices on your own, but you can also take additional classwork and rise to the master level, at which point you can start your own business. So there are plenty of opportunities to move up once you become an apprentice, and you can also move to other states. This doesn't keep you in Maryland. And let's see. What are some of the benefits for individuals in registered apprenticeships? So if you want to be an apprentice, one of the best things about it is you get to see how you can earn and learn. You can work and you can actually learn while you're working. It's not like going to school where you're just taking classes and you don't have a job connected to it. So you're earning as you're learning. You're receiving college credit in some cases and certifications in some cases. You're acquiring a skill that's leading you to a career. I think I might have skipped one here. Nope, there we go. So one of the great things about apprenticeships is it provides you with hands-on career training. This refers back to the on-the-job training, the working with the mentor that I spoke with earlier. You won't be on your own. You'll be working directly with someone who's already acquired the skills that they're teaching you. You'll be receiving an education. This is the related instruction component that I mentioned. This is that hands-on technical training, which you'd be doing as classroom or sometimes virtually with potential to earn college credits. It gives you long-time career and greater earning potential. I spoke a little bit about career ladders, and I also mentioned that our apprenticeships are all considered stackable. Little to no education debt. This is really one of the most amazing things about an apprenticeship is that you start working and day one, your employer is paying for your education. You're not paying for it. It's important for your employer to know that his employee is learning what they need to use on the job. That's why he's investing in you. So it's really, truly a great opportunity to not get any college debt and to actually pursue a career. And again, the nationally recognized credential, it's a Maryland state credential, occupational credential. It'll list the occupation that you've completed to the journey level in. And let's see. Who can be an apprentice? This is a great question. So apprentices are kind of unique in the world in that anybody 18 or over, we have no upper restrictions on apprenticeships. If you're 18 or older and you meet the specific qualifications of the program, you can become a registered apprentice. Some of our programs will allow individuals that are younger than 18, and we also have a newly created youth apprenticeship program in most of our counties. So if you're still in high school, that's an option. You can definitely check with your guidance counselor. You can follow up with Kelly and get in touch with me. If you apply for apprenticeship, you must be physically able to perform the required tasks and have access to transportation. This is in there because most of our apprenticeships are in the skilled trades occupations where you might be working on a construction site. But we do have a large number of apprenticeships that are in fixed locations and are with programs such as healthcare, IT work, biomedical work, and other occupations where physical restrictions won't be so important. Most, but not all apprenticeship programs require a high school diploma or a GED completion. That's not true for every program, but again, you would need to look at exactly what the sponsor's looking for and what their specific program entails. And so just to give you a snapshot of where we are, we have 11,300, and I'm sure it's gone up by a little bit by now. So we have probably about 11,500 registered apprentices in Maryland. And during 2019, we had almost 1,500 complete. So that's a great increase for us over our numbers. Now, I spoke earlier about the fact that most of our apprenticeships are in the skilled trades, and I mentioned a few of the skilled trades, but this chart shows you kind of a real good sense of what some of the occupations are that aren't necessarily in the skilled trades. And so a couple that I'll point out to you that are pretty interesting. Let's see. The pharmacy technician is a wide open job. We work with CVS as one of our sponsors. They do not have an open cohort now, but if you're interested in that, it's great to check on their website. I'm going to speak a little bit later. There are a couple of opportunities in biotechnology that you might be interested in. I have an opportunity in information technology that I'll speak about. And then in hospitality and tourism, we've added a table game supervisor, which is a casino occupation. We have shipwright, which is kind of an interesting occupation. Arborist, another one. For those of you that like 3D printers, we've got additive manufacturer. This is a really interesting occupation. If you like fiddling around in maker spaces, this might be something for you to look at. Also the welding technician, CNC specialist. Again, those are, and machinists are really interesting jobs if you're into precision stuff. Hospitality and tourism, again, is a big area. Let's see. So, and what I'll do after I get done with this presentation, I'll hop over to the apprenticeship locator with you, if I can do that successfully. And I'll show you how to use it really quickly to look at occupations that you might be interested in. And so there are more than 90 registered apprenticeship sponsors on there, 45 employers participating in youth, and those numbers have both gone up. And the benefit to that is you'll have access to our sponsors' websites. Most of them have lots of information about their training protocols. And we also give you our contact there, who is generally the hiring person in HR. So let's see what the page in the locator looks like. So let me just get through this here. And here's my contact information. And because this is recorded, I'm thinking that they'll have access to this in the recorded session. So I won't bother to stay on this. We're going to hop over to the locator.
Yeah, that's fine. And I will also put my email in the chat. So if anyone didn't get that, you could always email me and I could connect you to Jane too.
Great. And so hopefully I'll be able to. So can you see the apprenticeship locator now?
I still see the PowerPoint. Not sure about anyone else.
Same here. I just see the PowerPoint.
Yep, me too.
And it looks like, Jane, your mouse is on the minimize button. Oh, there it is. Okay,
So
we're there.
and everybody can see it. Okay, we're doing great. So before I jump into this, I did want to share these two opportunities with you, and I sent the link and the GlaxoSmithKline email to Kelly so she can distribute that to everybody.
Mhm.
These two opportunities don't appear in the locator as of yet. And this is really, I'm glad to be able to share this with you because when I did this presentation with Kelly before, I didn't have any open job leads for people, but these two are open. Now, the first one, GlaxoSmithKline, which is a biotechnology company, for a biochemist associate. Now, what this would do is equip you with the skills and knowledge to tackle a variety of scientific challenges. You'd be working in their biopharmaceutical manufacturing laboratories. It's a 3 to 4 year program studying towards an associate in science degree in biotechnology or in an engineering related field at Montgomery Community College. So there is an application link with this. And there's also an advertisement for biopharmaceutical associates. The previous one was a biochemist associate. This is a biopharmaceutical associate. This job would entail ensuring GSK's biopharmaceutical manufacturing systems are working efficiently and meeting high standards. This would provide a 3 to 4 year program studying towards an associate's in science and biotech or engineering at Montgomery Community College. So both of these occupations, you would be working full-time, you'd be attending classes part-time, but your employer would be paying for your classes and he would also be paying your salary. They also are advertising that in the future, they're going to open a cohort for a new occupation, which is a calibration and instrument technician. This is similar to some of the precision jobs that I was speaking of earlier. This is a position where you would join their automation department and help provide control systems services for the manufacturing, building, and utility equipment to support operations and validation with capital projects. This would involve a 3 to 4 year program towards an associate's in mechatronics or electrical engineering at Anne Arundel Community College. And again, there's a link to this that I provided with Kelly and she can forward that email out to people. So that's one of our sponsorship companies that has 3 occupations. 2 of them are currently active. And then I just got this information the other day. This is one of our sponsors, Howard Community College, is working with AT&T. AT&T is looking for applicants for their IT apprenticeship program. So their IT apprenticeship program will help students prepare for an IT career. They're offered in partnership with AT&T. The program will enable students to earn a security clearance if needed while completing the program. It's the only program of its type in Maryland. Participants in the IT program will work while attending classes. The apprenticeship allows students to gain valuable experience in the industry. Students will have a choice of 3 career tracks: IT field support specialist, network field support specialist, or information systems security specialist. And so there are actually 2 webinars about the AT&T program. One is today from 3 until 4 p.m. and one is on April the 14th from 7 until 8 p.m. And again, these are 2 openings. So if you're at all interested in that, these are 2 opportunities to participate in apprenticeship and become one of the lucky earn while you learn apprentices. And having said that, those were 2 opportunities that don't appear in the apprenticeship locator because they're so new. But if you want to explore some of the other opportunities that we have, I have the screen up that is our apprenticeship locator. And all you have to do is click on the locator and you just click on the box that says be an apprentice. And you're going to get this screen that asks you what counties you want to look in. Excuse me. Because most apprenticeships are regional in nature, I think I mentioned earlier, well, you might be training at a training facility at Anne Arundel Community College. Your actual job site might be in Southern Maryland in La Plata. So you don't really want to look for one specific county. You want to think of apprenticeships as more of something regional. So if you select all counties, you're going to get more information than if you just limit your selection to one or two counties. And then if you scroll down, unless you're specifically looking at high school apprenticeships, which are only offered if you're a student who's in high school, then you want to always click regular apprenticeship. And the broader search is industry. So that'll give us a couple more occupations. And then if you hit continue, you'll see the list of industries. And so just to kind of give you a snapshot of what you get if you plug in one of our trades occupations, I'm going to click electrical here. We clicked all counties, so let's see what options we get here with our search. So here you see a couple of different things. You've got associated builders and contractors. Those are one of our group programs. They work in multiple counties. So if you're interested in learning about electrical work, this might be a good choice to explore. If you click on view details, we give you a link to their website, which is really convenient. That takes you right to their modules on training, so you can learn what it's like to be an apprentice. We give you the direct contact information for the HR person, who's Chris Hatfield. We also give you his telephone number. And then I'm not gonna do it now because I don't want to, I'm having such good luck with my technology. But if you go to the website, they've got some really cool videos to watch. So if this is an occupation you really are unsure about or you don't know, this is a great way to explore and learn about it. So I'm going to go back. So ABC, these are group programs, so they're not union programs. We also have union programs if you've ever been interested in learning about a union program. And some of these you can see, let's see, where do we have one? Here we go. The Baltimore JATC is one. And yeah, see, I was afraid of that. Did I lose my screen for you?
Yeah, it says the site can't be reached. It has
Okay.
that sad
Well, you know
looking
what?
page.
And that's actually perfectly okay because am I back with you now?
Yes, you're no longer
that-
sharing your screen.
That's perfectly okay, because I was able to show you how easy it is to actually get in the navigator into the apprenticeship locator and look around. And so, you know, I'm going to open it up to questions. I just want to throw out there that, you know, there are a couple of really cool opportunities that were thrown out there. And I encourage you, even if you just be maybe a little bit interested, go on one of the webinars, either the one today or later in April, and just listen to the information and think about it. And then I'd also encourage you to go on the apprenticeship locator and, you know, just play around and look at an occupation that you maybe never thought about. Like maybe you don't know what a machinist does, or maybe you don't know what a sheet metal worker does, or a sprinkler fitter, or maybe you don't know what a ship fitter does. We have lots of occupations in there. And even if you don't end up going with an apprenticeship, it's a great opportunity to kind of explore what's out there and some of the training processes and what's required to be a worker in some of the occupations. So having dumped all of that information on everybody, what I'd like to do is just kind of throw it out there. I don't see any questions in the chat unless I'm missing them.
No, but one thing I just, there was one question, but I believe I answered it, about one of the meetings this afternoon regarding the IT apprenticeship presentation. But I let that person know there, I believe, is another one in April. If you click on the link that's in the chat. And I just wanted to explain the link that I put in the chat is specifically for the IT apprenticeship presentation at Howard County Community College. The other ones that Jane was talking about, the biochemist, the biopharmaceutical, if she sent that to me in an email. If you want information about those, you can either send me an email or put your email in the chat if you're comfortable, or privately chat me with your email and I can forward you that information. Again, that's biochemist associate, biopharmaceutical, and then I think it was calibration and instrumentation technician. So just wanted to clarify that, but yes, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or whatever you need, put it in the chat.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Okay.
So,
I like your background. I can see my
oh,
church in the
thank you.
background
Yeah,
there,
well,
St. Anne's.
exactly. So the so my son's on online too. So we're the apprenticeship program seems fantastic. That's like a dream way to go. I just don't know how many openings are there on average. Is it pretty good chance of getting in, or is it competitive?
So
Yeah.
it varies because it's, you know, it's a workforce development tool. So when employers come to us and they want to develop a program, that's what creates the opportunities. And so that, you know, hence you see the openings with AT&T, they were just awarded a government contract. And so this is part of their staffing.
Mhm.
So SmithKline and biotechnology, of course, you know, with COVID-19, we've got lots of rapidly learning and expanding opportunities there. And I think this is just what we're starting to see.
Right.
So it behooves you to stay in touch with the, you know, to check out the apprenticeship locator.
Mhm.
Also, you know, a lot of these places like Glaxo on their own website, they advertise these opportunities. And I will leave, well, my contact information is in the PowerPoint, and I really encourage anybody with questions, you know, to check in with me occasionally, run some ideas past me. If you see something on the locator and you're unsure of it, just let me know.
Sure.
And I wouldn't necessarily just look at these, you know, when you're on the locator, even if you don't think that the apprenticeship is something you want to do, many of these places will hire helpers, which gives you an opportunity to kind of do a before apprenticeship, maybe work in the shop, see what it's like, see if you like the work atmosphere,
Mhm.
go for the apprenticeship.
Okay.
I really encourage people to make that, you know, to take that opportunity, because we provide you with that HR connection right there. And if you call them and you say, you know, I saw the presentation, I listened to Jane Sinclair, I don't know if I want to do apprenticeship, but I would really like to try being a helper. They are really flexible. They really enjoy doing that. And generally speaking, the programs that hire apprentices, they have, their priority is training new employees. And one of their highest priorities once you're hired is teaching you about safety. So everybody that works at one of the shops gets the safety training initially, just off the bat, but they're great places to learn.
Also, that's really helpful. Thank you. Another question I have: if you don't find an apprenticeship program, but you're kind of looking to get training, I notice there's a lot of training schools. I'll say Anne Arundel Community College has an HVAC program. I know they're building out a much more extensive program in the coming years. Is that something that you would do as well if you're wanting to get into the trades? Go to a training school if you don't find a apprenticeship program.
So So because I work for the apprenticeship and training program, I'm going to say right off the bat, no, I would not encourage you to do that for this reason. So if you went to Anne Arundel Community College to take their HVAC training, you would have to pay for that. And I don't know what the cost is. I'm guessing that for the 3 years of related instruction, it's probably somewhere around $4,000 to $6,000. However, if you were to get a job as a registered apprentice, and remember, everybody is starting out initially, your employer would be paying for that. And so you wouldn't have to pay for the training. And in addition, and here's the beauty of apprenticeship. I know when I went to school, I took all kinds of classes, and I learned some things by reading the book and listening to my professor tell me how to do it, or my teacher tell me how to do it. But it's a whole different thing when somebody's telling you how an electric circuit works and you're reading about it, or when somebody's telling you how an electric circuit works and you have the circuit in your hand and you're matching up the wires. And when he says the black wires are the ones that connect here, and you don't want to connect these wires, it starts to make sense when you go to class because you know exactly what they're talking about with the electrical connections. So the classwork that you do in combination is going to make sense. It's not like going to a class and learning about an HVAC system when you're not out there playing with it. So, you know, because I'm with apprenticeship, I'm going to encourage people to explore it. And if you know someone who's interested in HVAC, we have our representative, Stephanie Anderson, is with the Maryland Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors of Maryland. We work with them very closely. They take first-year apprentices with their employers. She's a great contact, and they are on our apprenticeship locator. They've got a great video about their training also.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone else have questions? I'm manning a few in the chat, and I'm going to include in the chat right now the locator link that Jane provided to me, in case anyone needed that to look at all of the apprenticeships. Any other questions from anyone?
No questions. Okay. Well, I mean, everybody has my email address, and I guess I can type it right in here for everybody.
Yeah, that would be great.
And you know, one thing that I do when I listen to webinars or hear a presentation, sometimes it's like 20 minutes later that I think, oh, wow, I wish I would have asked this question. So please feel free to reach out.
Actually, just hit me with another question. My son's obviously in high school, and so, you know, and he's going to be doing some stuff this summer, but obviously in the fall is when he's going to be really interested in getting into an apprentice program. So ideally, you'd think you'd want to be looking now. Is that something that the apprentice programs, I mean, you mentioned that they just come online and you can register, you know, sign up at that point. But is there something a little more long-term that they can start getting ready for and start learning more?
So what school system does your son attend school in?
Broadneck, and he was part of the Cat South program.
Okay, so Anne Arundel County just joined on as our newest youth apprenticeship sponsor. And so youth apprenticeship is a little bit different. Youth apprenticeship, the way it works, the student will apply for the apprenticeship in either the junior or senior year, and it will depend upon the employers that actually sign up to take on apprentices. But there will be a selection of occupations and jobs. And what the employer does, the employer hires the apprentice for at least 455 hours of on-the-job training. So the apprentice would be paid, and it works like a work-based learning program where the apprentice would work out with the employer maybe 3 days a week for a certain time. And then the school system and the employer would agree upon a 1 credit, 2 semester classwork that would mirror what's being learned in the apprenticeship. And then it would be and I forget, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. It is a additional completer route or a completer unit. So definitely, if your son would be interested in doing it, that's a great opportunity. And another reason why the youth apprenticeship is such a great opportunity is it's designed so that when the student completes that apprenticeship, that there should be a position if that student chose to go directly working for that company, rather than pursuing a college degree or maybe an associate's degree or looking for work elsewhere. It is supposed to supply a direct connection, and hopefully in more instances, an actual connection into an apprenticeship. So, and again, you've got my email, so I can give you information about that program also. Anybody else?
I do have a question.
Okay.
So with the internship, what if somebody got into the internship and went through it and then started to realize that that's not really what they wanted to do? Maybe I missed that earlier. How would you be able to handle that, of maybe them switching into another field?
So that might not be an issue if you were, if this were a youth apprenticeship, because that is a little bit more exploratory in nature. But for a registered apprenticeship, it is a career move, and it. So I mean, the goal is that this is an investment that the employer is making, and also the employee. However, it's just like any job and any career move that somebody makes. You don't necessarily know when you start a new job if it's going to be for you, and you usually figure that out pretty rapidly. So all apprenticeships have built in the regular, gosh, I guess it's about a quarter of the length of the apprenticeship where you're on a probationary period. And usually that's how it works. It's just like a regular job. They do find out that it doesn't work for some people. In most cases, there is no penalty if your employer has paid for some of your classwork. However, that might be a little bit different in some of the union programs, and it probably varies by employer to employer.
Okay, thank you. It was a great information. I really enjoyed it today.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'll just throw out there for those of you, this is just some apprenticeship trivia, that Elvis Presley was actually an electrical apprentice, as was Eric Clapton. Imagine that.
Oh, wow.
And Franklin was a printing apprentice, which is actually really cool. And if you're into making guitars, a guitar maker or anybody who makes a stringed instrument is called a luthier, which I think is really cool. And just if you're like the kind of interesting tidbits, if anybody has ever watched Fantasia, there's a great story where Mickey Mouse is actually the sorcerer's apprentice, which is my favorite apprentice overall. But the funny connection is that if you look up The Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's actually a poem that's very old, and it's actually talking about how advancements in technology are not always that great for mankind. So just kind of a rabbit hole if anybody wants to jump down that. And if you like to play with Google, last year, I think I did run across, there's a actual sorcerer's apprentice in New Zealand, in Christchurch, New Zealand. He gets about 10,000 pounds a year. And I think the apprentice has been an apprentice for about 2 years. Evidently, it's a lengthy program. So you might want to look at that too. So that's just for fun part, but apprenticeships are a great opportunity to look in different careers. And even if it's not right for you, you might know somebody that might be interested. So definitely pass on the information.
It's really cool.
All right. No last questions?
There is one in the chat. I don't know if this is more of a statement, but from Jonah, he said he wanted to do something in the summer, but he just dislocated his knee at football. My word, that sounds painful. And he has to get surgery, and it's going to put him out for 4 to 5 months. So I imagine, Jonah, there will probably be apprenticeships are an ongoing type thing. So if you wanted to revisit that or check out the website a couple months from now and his knee is feeling better, I'm sure you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. This just provides you with a really good opportunity to dig into the apprenticeship locator and look at what the opportunities are and what you really might be interested in pursuing.
Thank you so much.
I was going to say, last call for any more questions.
Kelly, just a quick question. Will this recording is this recorded so we can look at it later?
Yes, I made sure to
Okay.
do that.
Okay. Is it possible to get the PowerPoint that you
Yeah.
used?
Sure.
Yeah, I have, Jane sent me the PowerPoint, so I can send it to you. And anyone else who wants it, like I said, I'll put my email in the chat again. You can email me or private message me with your email address and I can send it to you.
And in the interest of being transparent, I will put on my other hat now, and I will let you know that I am on the board of ARI. I have been for about 5 years now. It is a terrific organization.
Yes.
But you know, many hats. So
Yes.
I can't say enough good about ARI. And having said that, I'll also throw out there, I don't know if anybody on this call has an open case. If you are working with doors, I also work with doors through an apprenticeship think tank, and they have an apprenticeship navigator through doors that might have different opportunities that we have, or maybe an extra connection. So if that applies to you, you might want to reach out to your doors counselor, or just if you want to check with me, I can reach out to your doors counselor for you. And with that, and seeing no more questions, I hope everybody has a great.
Thank you so much. You
Yes.
too.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
joining.
Bye-bye.
And thank you again, Jane. Bye, Misty.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you so much again, Jane.
You're welcome. I think it went a little bit better this time. So thank you. For your
Yes, you
patience.
did wonderful. You don't give yourself enough credit. I thought you did great.
Well, I really enjoyed, and I thought the questions were great. I think that was
Yeah.
so.
There were a lot of people that joined too, which
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
is good. A lot of
Okay,
people I
if you-
haven't seen before.
Yeah, so if you need me to do it again, I'm always around. So
I so appreciate it. Thank you again. And
problem.
if I have any other questions for you, I may bother you via email, but I think we should be good.
And don't forget, I work in apprenticeship, but I work for the Maryland Department of Labor. So I have